Here we go. Welcome, Josh. Happy to have you today on a episode of Coffee and Compressed Air. So very good to have you and lots of coffee.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
Yeah, so I know there's not maybe so many people that don't know you, but for those who don't, can you do a quick introduction of yourself?
I'm Josh. Is
Well,
that is that
you're
too long?
it might have been a little too long. We only have 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm Josh. I work in compressed air. So
Perfect. There we go. So if we step way, way back, I'm pretty sure I can assume, safely assume, just based on numbers, that that's not what you wanted to be when you grew up.
yeah, yeah, that's yeah. I don't think compressed air got on the radar when I was in elementary school. I actually wanted to be a pastor or a teacher, and I think the teacher stayed with me longer.
Mhm.
Um, but next thing you know, yeah, next thing you know, things got a little funky and sideways, and I ended up on a bus to the Marine Corps recruit
Okay.
depot. So yeah,
Yeah, that's a pad.
yeah, yeah. All other plans mess up. Join the Marine Corps. So
Oh my gosh. What was your experience there? Can I ask that? I don't know if I can ask that.
it was it was okay. It was I think the most beautiful thing about the Marine Corps is that it removes any sense of self worth, and it teaches you that without your team, you're nothing.
Mhm.
And I do think that has helped me over the years. So I'm very thankful to have had the opportunity to remove some of the self importance.
Mhm.
So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I was not expecting that lesson, but that is a very important one, especially working in compressed air because you need people for that.
Well, it's a wonderful transition, Danny. In compressed air, like all the other sciences, like we don't own anything. And like compressed air, I hate to say it like this, but we're all, myself included, we don't matter. None of us matter. The best thing we can do is take the information that we're given and learn through our careers and pass it to the next generation. Like
Mhm.
we're just a conduit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I know being in plants, I mean, it's a surprise every day, so you really legit never know what you're gonna see or walk into.
yeah, yeah.
So how did you transition from the Marines to working in compressed air?
Um, well, after the Marine Corps, I went in the Navy and I got my schooling through the Navy. And but I got sideswiped literally and figuratively um, by a drunk driver, and uh,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it got a little funky. But so I was in a wheelchair for a long time, and I ended up starting a karaoke company so that I could support myself from a wheelchair. And
Wow.
one of the bars that hired me to DJ, the owner's daughter was coming home from university on the weekends to make ends meet.
Mhm.
And well, she's smoking hot and still is. And now we're 21 years married. But when I decided I liked her for real, I was like, I need
I'm
a real
happy
job.
that's where it went. 'Cause I'm like, "This is gonna be interesting." I love that.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I guess I got to get a real job. So, but
Wow. Wow. You met your wife while you were in a wheelchair?
yeah, she doesn't like this story, but yes, that's true.
Oh my goodness.
And technically, I got a job at the shipyard first, but then,
Mhm.
uh, you know, when I first started walking, which is tough walking up and down the stairs in and out of dry docks. Um, but we really were trying to buy a house and do this and that. And I was working side jobs, waiting tables after work at the shipyard. And I saw
Mhm.
a compressed air company and was hiring a service technician. So I studied my butt off. I knew all the components from my work in the Navy, but I was still young and hard to believe, but even less smart then than I am now. Um, but yeah, so I started as a service technician for Leroy and Comp Air and Hydrovane, and just started punching through, got into service and sales, and just started moving through the ranks.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I think it was a good transition that we introduced your wife because I read your bio and it's one of the best bios I've read on LinkedIn. And I just love how you go and bring all these people in. Like, okay, if you, and just because so many people know you or like anyone as a person only as a certain thing. So it's fun to go, like, if you ask my kids, this is what they think. If you ask my friends, and I love that perspective because I mean, they don't see you at work, and then the work people don't see you at home. So it's fun to get kind of like a little behind the scenes. But where did that idea come from?
Um, I have been known to get a little grumpy sometimes, um, and and one of the things that I think guys do a lot, like whether we're at a barbecue or we meet anywhere, is, oh, what do you do for a living? And it seems to very quickly, um, we start defining ourselves by our resume. And while I am incredibly thankful and so proud, and you know what I mean, like I just don't think that that's what that was meant to be. And like anytime I would try to type in like, well, I've done this, I just felt embarrassed and self-serving.
Mhm.
So I said, you know what, like this is supposed to be about me. So why should it be my opinion? Nobody cares, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I tried to do my level best to, if I wasn't in the room, what would those people say?
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
I love it. I love that so much because like my about me has changed because it was a resume because that's what we're supposed to do, right? Like it like every sales guru, LinkedIn guru is saying, you know, this should be your resume, how customers know how to find you and what you do, and they should be able to just go exactly to what you're selling. And then I'm like, but it's about me, not what I do. So I legit made myself like what I was selling and what I was doing, and it does. It starts to wear on you, and then it's not as much of an interesting conversation, really. You're like, "Well, this is what I do for work all day," but I do a lot of other stuff that I think
Yeah.
is pretty cool. Um, so and just bringing family in. So I do love that you do that because I have gotten to meet, your kids, like, even at some of the compressed air shows, like, yeah, I'm like, "I love that, I want that for everyone." Um, so what's it like for you to, get to have your family as part of your business or even just come along with?
So, first of all, I guess I don't believe that anything is good or bad. I think they're both always.
Mhm.
So, like, there's an aspect of this, like in the positive and in the negative, right? Um, I think that um, my learning how to be a business person and learning how to be a father and a husband. Um, while I fail at both of those more than I succeed, they mirror each other.
Mhm.
So as I've tried to raise children, Kelly and I, mostly Kelly, God knows this is on the record. So all credit to Kelly, and I'm just happy to be here. But that's the official response. But like dealing with different personalities and the challenges and what they want to do versus what you want to do and what needs to get done and the short-term interest versus long-term interest.
Mhm.
I have found that in the same way we don't get a manual for raising children, we also don't get a manual for our careers. and our work life. So there have been times where failures in my work life have just directly translated to failures in my home life. But
Mhm.
I've also been very fortunate in the fact that, like, as I've made tweaks and small improvements and optimizations in
Mm.
my home life or in my work life, I've been
Yeah.
able to extrapolate those lessons to the other side.
Mhm.
So some days I feel like I don't have an escape. Like I leave my employees and I go to my family and I just want to, like, jump head first off a diving board and, into an empty pool. And then there's some days where I'm just so incredibly thankful for everything. And I think overall I'm thankful. So,
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a very important and very interesting perspective because I have found the same. I mean, my family's young, so it's, like, he just turned 4, like, a week ago. So he's yeah, so I have that one running around, and I love it, and I decided to well, Brad and I decided to keep him home from school, like, from his daycare, 3 days a week because there was some okay, I don't know if I wanna put this out there, all of his business, but he learned that if he acted a certain way at school, he got to come home, and he learned that very quickly, and then ran with that, like, "Oh, if I do this, I get to go home?" So I'm like, "Okay, we need a hard reset here."
nice.
Yeah, and I'm like, "These kids, like, how do you, like, connect?" Anyway, that's a whole 'nother conversation, but I
I mean,
found
I hate to say it, but like we're all the sums of our failures and our
yeah,
successes. And most days, I think a lot of us would be just happy for a tie. But
yeah,
hopefully at the end of the proverbial day, we
yeah,
look we look back at our time on Earth and say, "Yeah, it was worth it." You
yeah.
know.
And I feel like that's kind of where I am now, because like you said, we have a short amount of time, and of course, it comes in waves, and it's really sad that it happens when someone passes away that we realize that, and then even that lasts for a short time. Like, that
Mhm.
hit lasts for a short time. You're like, "Wow, this person was just here, and now they're not," and then you reflect, but then you end up back sucked into
I'll tell you, I was in a parking lot at my grandmother's funeral, and I
mhm.
was watching the cars drive by on the street, and I was reminded that on the worst day of our lives, it's just a work day and a school day for everybody else. And it gives good humility, and it makes you think, like, so.
Yeah, that they're yep. Yeah, it is humbling for sure, and then it's like,
Mhm.
"What are we gonna do?" 'Cause and I bring that now to my LinkedIn just with the fear stuff, and it's like, "We could be gone tomorrow." Like, not to get morbid or anything, but, like and I know some people use that almost as their thing, they're like, "Remember, you're gonna die."
Twister is dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on. Like, what are we all doing here? And it's very, very interesting. I wasn't expecting this conversation to go here, but I went through that whole like, not midlife crisis, but literally like a come to Jesus moment in my work because I was so far into work that I lost myself. I didn't know who I was. Like, I'm the oldest of 5, and I just legit didn't talk to any of my family, but they were like, "It's okay, you're busy, you're so successful. We love telling people that you travel the world and that you do this." So, like, it was and I'm like, "Oh, this is what you're proud of me for, this is what you want me to do," so then I would just do more of that, but then I literally lost the connection there, and then yeah, I legit had to, like, quit, not work for a whole month and a half, to do nothing, to have nowhere to go, and it was like, "Who am I? What am I doing as a person?" Like and like you said, I'm sitting at home just not sulking, but just staring out the window, quite literally, and like you said, everybody just kept going. Everybody just keeps going and doing their thing, and it's like, "Okay, so this is a wake-up call."
Yeah.
Big, big wake-up call.
I tell my kids, I have the same message for them, whether they have a happy moment or a sad moment.
Yeah.
Um, if you do something that you're really proud of, take a second, pat yourself on the back, and then get the heck back to work. And then also, if something bad happens, take a second, cry, grieve, do it. and then get the heck back to work,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh my
So,
God. I just looked up, I've been obsessed with definitions lately. Um, just like on the real deep root of words, because words are very interesting and choice of words is very interesting. And what you just said, I literally looked up yesterday because I started reading like a Geneva Bible from 1560. So there's lots of words I don't know what they mean. So I'm looking up so many words now. And Selah came up, and I'm like, what is that word? Like, I don't know what that means. And it's literally what you just said, a deep pause after something extremely significant. And it could be either way. And it's
right.
just take that moment, be there, and then proceed. Like, don't
Get
just
them on.
do
Yeah.
it. Literally. And
Yep.
I was like, oh my gosh, I literally just looked at this word. So cool. So transitioning to your kids, and one day I can't even imagine my kids having kids. 'Cause I let my mom, my grandparents, I let them do like you there's no rules at grandma's house. Like, there's, like, tiny, tiny rules. Um, but, like, all the treats, all the ice cream at grandma's, like, your grandma, I can't even imagine how much I'm gonna love my son's kid if I get there, and I saw that your cabinet of curiosities that you may want to share that with your grandkids one day. What does that mean? What is in this cabinet?
Well, it's nothing of value, but just a bunch of fun stuff I've seen from around the world.
Mhm.
I do a lot of work in Roswell, New Mexico, so I grab some dirt from an alien crash site. And whenever one of the neighbors' kids come over, like I'll pour it in their hand, and they'll be like, "This is the most awesome day of my life," you know. Like, um, um, I was in the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul, Turkey, and
Uh-huh.
like I swear to you, like in the back corner was a real like brass lamp, and like it's so heavy. So when one of the kids come over, I'll like hand it to him and I'll say, like, I think this is magic, but I've never been able to make it work
Yeah,
myself. But then the like it falls in their hands and they're just like, oh my god, you know, like
yeah. Oh my
yeah.
god,
Uh,
so cool.
for example, I have like if you remember from Greek mythology, the lotus eaters.
Okay.
Um, you would eat the lotuses and you forget your mission, you forget everything, but you're just happy and
Mhm.
fun and everything's easy. And when I was in Egypt, I found I found 100% lotus oil, or pure lotus oil, and
Yeah.
I got this little like $1.50 vial to put it in. And so now I have like this little like perfume vial, but it's full of lotus oil in the hopes that if someday when my grandkids are having a bad day, I could just put a little bit on their
Oh my
skin. And,
gosh.
like
Yeah,
it's all like it has none of these things have any value whatsoever, but I hope it inspires like curiosity and
definitely curious.
imagination and
Yes.
hopefully I'll be the cool grandpa.
Yeah, well, that's priceless. I already think you're cool. So I'm like, "That's cool. I wanna see this cabinet."
The
That's
list is now at one.
I love this of it. It's like just bringing this sense of wonder, like, to kids and making them curious to go explore and do that. I love that so much. That's so fun. So I don't have a good transition for this, but this is coffee and compressed air. So I guess we can talk a tiny bit about work because we've already made it to 18 minutes. So I told you it goes by really fast. I don't know what happened.
We have
Um,
1 minute.
you have 1 minute. Just so like as well, as an auditor, but you do a couple things in compressed air. Just what are you seeing out there right now?
That's a huge question for
I know.
46 seconds.
I know. Well, we
Um,
can go over a little bit. We can
okay.
go over a little bit.
The There is a huge transition in multiple ways in the amount of work that individuals are being required to do at work, from employees to all of us, right?
Mhm.
Plant operators. There's a push for uptime, which I'm very happy to see that there's a push for uptime over efficiency. I think the world has started to see that our push for efficiency was starting to cost us
Mhm.
um, reliability. Um, there's questions of data and how important data is and how accurate data needs to be and what's good enough. What do we need? What do we not need? How do we prevent data overload? Who's going to install it? What's important? What's not? But I do think there's a little bit of a state of flux. I think, but I think we're all overworked too, and I think there's we're not yet to where the Gartner's hype cycle would say the peak of inflated expectations. I don't think we're there yet, but I do think that AI and technology is still on the list of things that are magic. So this is going to solve everything. So,
except if you work with compressed air.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's AI is interesting, but like it says, it's a lot of the people. It's like, okay, plumbers are going to be huge. Well, that's part of compressed air. It's very physical. So I think that's still a while out. And I think it's the same as people who say we should get rid of compressed air, and I said, and replace it with what? Like it does so many very specific things, and it is very effective at it. Like, and I'm like, even just simple as something blowing off the dust and debris or the oil. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna throw water at it? There's electrical components. What are you gonna do? Like, have someone go in and physically brush it? You're adding on to your time, and now a human hand is in a machine. So now you have additional risks. So it is something that's very hard to replace.
But that's a pretty powerful statement in itself, because the converse is also true, right?
Yeah.
Like when we talk about, and mind you, right, like for anybody listening to this, every single person in the compressed air industry, in my opinion, every single person in the compressed air industry is smarter and better than me. So I am not saying this from a position of authority. Conversely, I'm saying it as an eternal student. It's not just compressed air that we have to learn. We from before air enters the compressor station all the way to where it's vented to atmosphere and all adjacent industries. We have to be students of all of these things to be able to support our customer and know, is compressed air even the right thing to use?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like you're going to have to, if you truly want to be a professional in compressed air, you have to learn hydraulics, and you have to learn electric, and you have to learn heat transfer and HVAC, and you've got to learn plumbing and welding, and all of the things that surround what we do. You need to understand business and workflow and how processes and plants are set up, and there's just no end to the educational journey that brings professionalism to us in compressed air.
Yeah, I had a conversation yesterday, and they said, well, we put up an air curtain to just stop to stop water from splashing. And I'm like, I mean, is a physical curtain like not an option? Because you could just shut that whole pipe that has all the tubes. We all know how much that costs. Like that, I'm like, or just like a glass, not glass, but like the plexiglass, like any other option. So that is also true. But just stepping back and thinking, like, is there another way to solve this? So yes, both are very true at the same time, and just being there and seeing what it is. You're like, can we do this a different way? Or sometimes it is the only way. So if it is, then yes, we need to do it as efficient as we can and still get the end result. So we have gone over and didn't get into any compressed air questions. Is there something that people have been asking you over and over? Like, what's the one conversation you keep having with, and it could be with anybody, end users, other people in the industry, that they just come to you and you're like, this question, can I answer it officially somewhere here?
I think there's a good mix, but I think people want like a definitive answer of, will this optimization save money, or how do I make this more efficient? How do I make this more reliable? And the short definitive answer is, first of all, there's no guarantees of anything, right? There is no, there is no perfect, right? We can only do a little bit better than we did the day before. But there's two paths and a range in between. There's spend money and do work. And then there's a range in between. There's just no magic to it. There's no magic. It's culture, it's work, it's time, it's energy. And we all have a finite amount of all of those things. So, there is a priority list and everything else, but
Yeah.
money and time, pick one or a combination.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very great perspective. And just to put everything and wrap it up, because we did go over, do you want to share that you had a project yesterday? And because you do seem a little tired.
Yes, I am like 40 hours awake.
Yeah, that's crazy working with
I had like a constellation in the sky. I'm just bebopping through the planet, like solving problems. But last night was
there you go.
a fun and interesting
Yeah.
project. So I am operating on zero sleep. So
Yes. So we will end this, let you get to sleep. Thanks so much for coming on. Very uh, interesting perspective that you have. And I think some people will be surprised at this. They're probably expecting you to come in and maybe talk about something else, but I love that this is where it went.
yeah, I hope I appreciate anybody who does watch this, and I would hope that you be safe and be curious.
I love it. Thank you so much, Josh.
Thanks, Danny. Great to see you. Great talking to you.
Bye.
Bye.